Voting in France has begun. When French President Emmanuel Macron came to power, he had economic reform on his mind. Little did he know that he would face a number of protests during his tenure. Yellow vests, COVID-19, and now the Russian invasion of Ukraine. 5 years ago, Macron emerged as the youngest French leader since Napoleon. So, what are his chances this time around? Let's take a look.
The upcoming French presidential election is Emmanuel Macron's to lose, if the opinion polls are to be believed. Macron is set to become the first leader for 2 decades to win a second term in office in April. With that comes the task of steering France through the fallout from COVID-19, global inflationary pressures, and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. He spent more than most European peers keeping France afloat during the pandemic. Voters have approved of his recent diplomatic efforts, including flying to Moscow to meet President Putin. And both crises may have helped his re-election campaign, according to political analyst Bruno Cotres.
Emmanuel Macron has benefited really from the rally around the flag effect because of the Ukraine war, and also because the way that Emmanuel Macron did manage actually the COVID pandemic, particularly at the end with the whatever it cost. And Emmanuel Macron has clearly benefited from that, his position of the incumbent, the executive, which is managing the crisis.
5 years ago, Macron became France's youngest leader since Napoleon. The political outsider who would break the old left-right stranglehold. He set about cutting taxes for big businesses and the wealthy, loosening labor laws, and marketing France Inc. as a startup nation. But his plans for pension reforms in particular proved highly unpopular. The long-running Yellow Vest demonstrations began as a protest against high fuel prices, but they eventually focused in on Macron as aloof, elitist, and deaf to the grievances of ordinary people. For French voters like Laurent Semema, that reputation persists.
He's directed France like he does a business, and it's true, this is how it's done. But you also need to take the human factor into account, so you need to be social too. You're not just managing goods, but managing people.
Macron is seeking to extend his mandate precisely to press on with his pro-business reforms. He still wants to increase the retirement age, cut taxes, and further loosen labor market rules, potentially risking further social unrest. But it doesn't seem to have dented his poll lead. He is comfortably ahead of his nearest rivals. Jean-Luc Mélenchon is the only left-wing candidate to poll among the top 5 challengers. His France Unbowed party has been boosted by how poorly other left-wing candidates are faring. But it's unlikely to be enough. Right of center is Valérie Pécresse, France's self-styled Iron Lady, part Margaret Thatcher and part Angela Merkel. She's a moderate with a conservative party that has lurched rightwards. She would be France's first woman president, but she'd have to pull off a major upset to get there. But beyond the immediate crises, communications expert Philippe Moreau-Chevrolet sees a bigger challenge ahead for the president: his own domestic reform agenda.
Even though the economy is good and is what it achieved during the 5 years, economically speaking, is good for French people, and they have, maybe not all of them, but most of the population have seen their revenues increase and they pay less taxes. But you know, people have to feel it, and after 4 years of deep social, sanitary, or diplomatic crisis, it's difficult to feel good, even though the situation is better.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.